Will the IPL trophy say RCB this time, or will it be Delhi in capitals? How's everyone going to deal with the World Cup build-up, or will the IPL continue to be that tournament where 7 teams compete to face the Chennai Super Kings in the final? All that and all your questions answered in this big IPL preview episode of Talking T20 with Aakash Chopra. Aakash Chopra, hello, welcome to the show after quite a long time, Aakash.
Thank you so much. Yes, and IPL is a tournament that's very dear to me. It's very close to my heart. So it's good to be back at a very right time.
Also set for his favourite 2 months of the year is Gaurav Sundararaman, who's always in the house for the podcast. Hey, Gaurav.
Hey, and I guess is this the most important tournament this year?
Is it the most important tournament this year? We'll get Aakash to answer that. Aakash, Gaurav's, of course, playing on the idea of the IPL preceding the World Cup that's coming up in June. It's happening for the first time, isn't it? The IPL has happened after the World Cup a couple of times so far. How do you see the players going about things this time? Do you think anything will change from the teams and players' point of view?
See, in the ideal world, yes, you would want to manage workload. You would also want to manage your niggles, your injuries, and what have you. Just keeping in mind that there is a World Cup around the corner, but I doubt that it's going to play out that way. In the end, every player is going to give his 100%. They will once again ignore a niggle here, a niggle there. And if they can play all 14 or 16 games, depending on where their team finishes, they'll actually be there right till the end. So I actually see no difference whatsoever. The only thing, though, is that for some players, no matter what you've heard in the media, what has been said about whether the IPL performances will be taken into account, I think this tournament is critical for the fringe players who haven't really cemented their place in the World Cup team. So some of the guys will be looked very closely at during the IPL. The others, the usual suspects, the match winners, the Bumrahs, the Kohlis of the world, I think are going to feature in every single game that their team is likely to play.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Usually we speak about fans fatigue after the World Cup and whether they'll be up for the IPL. For once, we're talking about player fatigue here. We're talking about what effort they'll put. Aakash, of course, feels that players are going to be giving the 100%. I'm sure your view on this differs completely, Gaurav.
Slightly, it differs. I'll be surprised if they do that because there are about 30-40 odd players who are likely to play the World Cup. And I don't know, I'm just giving an early prediction that there's going to be 2 or 3 really important guys who are going to miss the World Cup. Like Aakash said, there's a chance that people may give 100%, but that can lead to certain injuries, like diving and stopping a 4, or especially for the bowlers, the odd side strain or the hamstring pull. We saw what happened to Jadhav last year. Jadhav playing 14 games in 6 weeks is something he wouldn't have done before. So these are things to watch out for. But I do expect 2-3 really important players across teams. It's not only about India, it's about England, it's about Australia, it's about West Indies. There's a good chance that you might find people out for 4-5 weeks. And what could actually happen is there might be a player who's out for like say 3 or 4 weeks, but the squads have to be announced by April 23rd. Yeah. So this could actually bring some dilemma for the selectors, whether to select him or select them or just take them with the squad and see what happens. So it's going to be tricky and I'm very eager to watch this.
Aakash, just going through the teams, you've of course previewed most of the teams in detail. Just going through the teams, some teams, I'm looking at Chennai Super Kings here, seem to have made picks which can work around this whole World Cup season. They've got a guy like Shane Watson who's retired, there's Dwayne Bravo, Sam Billings doesn't feature in the conversation of the first 15 in England at this point. Lungi Ngidi is of course injured, but they seem to have, inadvertently picked up a side that can last them the whole season, but it's not true for other sides.
Without doubt. And one team that comes to your mind is Rajasthan Royals. They've picked a side, or in fact, they just retained the same core, and they are going to miss a lot of players in the second half of the IPL. If their team were to qualify for the playoffs, good luck to them. They won't have the players. I'm expecting a lot of them to actually leave midway. But Chennai Super Kings, as you rightly said, it's not just about the foreign players. You spoke about Billings, about Bravo, about Watson. But even someone like a Suresh Raina and a Mohit Sharma or a Deepak Chahar, or when you talk about the Shardul Thakur, all these guys don't feature anywhere in India's scheme of things either. And there is a possibility, for all we know, that Jadeja may not cut it in the end also. So it's only about Dhoni and Jadhav. But then just touching upon the point that Gaurav actually mentioned earlier, we do obviously emphasize a lot on IPL happening just before the World Cup and what can happen, the after effects and all of that. The fact still remains that it could be actually a bilateral series happening 3 weeks before the World Cup is likely to start. So these things, do happen. Yes, there is a slightly more workload, so you would expect them to manage if they can. And freak injuries, they can happen anytime. We have seen people twisting their ankles while warming up for a test match. We saw Rohit Sharma's test debut actually delayed by a few years because he just twisted his ankle on the morning of the game. So these things will happen. The freak injuries will happen. Some players may end up missing out. So I'm not contesting that. But I think we are reading too much into having the IPL before the World Cup. Personally speaking, it's better than playing any meaningless bilateral series in India, rather than yet at least play some competitive cricket where your skills will be tested and you'll have to execute them to perfection. Perfection, unless and if you don't do that, you'll be taken for runs or you won't be scoring runs. So I think it's a great atmosphere environment to you for you to be tested and be in top shape.
Sri Lankan players free anytime to play some bilateral?
Sri Lankan players.
When are they busy? They're never busy.
Yeah, they are also not in the IPL pretty much at this point. Last couple of years we've not seen. But interesting, Aakash brought up that point about Rajasthan Royals. Just going through their roster, talking about Steven Smith, Josh Butler, Ben Stokes, potentially Jofra Archer as well. That's pretty much the overseas score that's going to go. Will we see 9 Indian players in 11?
I think that's how it looks like. So you actually see not many people know that West Indies are also playing a tri-series with Bangladesh and Ireland. That starts in the first week of May. So Shane Thomas will go. And that basically leaves you with Liam Livingston. Ashton Turner, if he gets selected, he's out. So it's Liam Livingston and Ish Sodhi. So effectively, Rajasthan their entire strategy has to be win about 8 or 9 of their first 10 or 11 games if they really want to make it. And for all you know, I feel their season could be over in the first 3 days of 3 matches of theirs. So it's very interesting. Whereas the other teams like Punjab, if you see Gale might leave, and they have, I think, David Miller. The other interesting thing is RCB. They've built their team hoping that Shimron Hetmeyer and Marcus Stoinis come and give that balance. Both leave. Stoinis not available in the first half, first
not available together
week and the last week, and Hetmeyer is again not available last week. So Moeen Ali goes. It's very, very interesting, which is why teams like Chennai, Delhi, Bombay seem pretty well placed right now to at least have a chance in the second half of the tournament, whereas a lot of teams need to do all the hard work in the beginning.
Aakash, Virat Kohli has already spoken about having made crucial decisions and some of the decisions not being the greatest of ones in the past, and those costing his team dear. There's a lot of talk that RCB still go into a tournament with a batting heavy unit and they've not somehow addressed the loopholes in their bowling right now. So have they already made some of those bad decisions at the auction? Do you think the bowling is still too weak to contest for the tournament or the trophy again?
Previously, their batting was also only about 3 batsmen. They've tried to address it. They've got a Shimron Hetmeyer. They've got Marcus Stoinis, slash a Colin de Grandhomme, slash Moeen Ali. So you've got the 3 players for one slot towards the latter half of the batting order. So it's not just about Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers and one guy at the top who's likely to open all the time. It was Quinton de Kock last time around. So they tend to pick a lot of openers earlier, but now they've focused on the lower middle order of their batting lineup. So they've tried to address that. They've also tried to address their bowling woes. But yes, bowling is still weak. You've got Nathan Coulter-Nile and Tim Southee. Coulter-Nile is not available in the first couple of weeks. He'll be in the UAE playing against Pakistan. Tim Southee, yes, he'll be playing, but is he your gun death bowler? If yes, who will be bowling alongside him? Umesh Yadav can't. At least he hasn't.
We saw the story play out last time. Again, a game like the one against CSK.
So it's the same story, but with a slight change that there won't be Corey Anderson bowling to Mahendra Singh Dhoni 3 overs on the bounce.
Yeah.
And
so
Aakash,
it was a death wish.
I have a question for you. Which Kohli will turn up? 2016 Kohli or the other year's Kohli?
I think Kohli will score runs. He will score runs, that's for sure. His captaincy will once again be under the scanner because as far as team composition is concerned, who you buy and who you don't buy, what's the composition of the playing 11, and where you use your bowlers also depends on where the captain is and how he's reacting to a situation. We've seen Kohli improve a little bit over the last year and a half. Even while leading Team India. So I'm expecting a slightly better, an upgraded version of Virat Kohli, the captain leading the Royal Challengers Bangalore this year. And he may also have a few more tricks up his sleeve. I thought last time his hands were pretty much tied. If you were playing Corey Anderson
Yeah.
and Umesh does not bowl with the old ball, Siraj was still undercooked. And he may still be work in progress, but it's at least a year older. Siraj with a bit more experience has played for India in between. And Tim Southee would be the ideal choice to bowl the death overs. So he might just be slightly better placed, but then bowling still remains to be their weakness.
One side who are definitely not wondering how it's going to turn up the Chennai Super Kings. If you go through their squad, there's literally two people they've added in the auction. They've just had to sign a couple of fringe players or bench players to just round up a squad of 25. They've got a spin-heavy attack. They're most likely to play all their games at home. As per the schedule, they're playing all their games in Chennai. Pretty hard to play them down again. They've made every single playoff so far. Gaurav, as a CSK fan or aficionado, what's your feel?
One good thing is they're playing 7 games at home, which they're doing after a very long time. So, like Aakash said before the start of this podcast about them preparing pitches which are actually suitable for their style of play. If it's going to be those slow, usually the first 2 games are very high scoring in Chennai, and then it slowly becomes tougher, becomes good for spinners, these 150, 160 games, and Dhoni starts using his bowlers well. So if that's the pattern, they would like to maximize those 7 home games and win those and hope for some good performances away. I'm a firm believer that it's very, very hard to back your IPL 2018 performance again in 2019. We've seen that historically it's not happened with many players. So Watson or Raidu, these guys may not have the season what they had last year. So who's going to step up? Who's going to be that player for them? Who's actually going to do? Will they give a guy like Dhruv Shori a chance to actually showcase, and maybe he comes good? He has a season like what Rahul Tripathi had. You never know. So these are things which you need to watch. I'm also curious about Mitchell Santner. I think he's the kind of player Dhoni likes, the kind of slow left arm spinner and runs towards the end. Bravo, again, he had one good innings last time and then he kind of faded out.
Death bowling is a problem.
Death bowling again is a problem. But again, Mohit suddenly becomes a different player playing under Dhoni. You have players who come up and are different. I've heard lots about this guy whom they picked called Rituraj Gaikwad from Maharashtra. He's supposed to be good. I don't know if he'll get a place in the squad, but those are the things which need to fall in place. If they do that, I think Dhoni will take care of half the job. So I still don't think they will make the playoffs, but you never know. I'm stopped predicting. I think all of us have stopped predicting after last year.
Nobody runs through tons of data or any other prediction when it comes to CSK. Aakash, defending champions, playing on their home turf. They're going to have a playoff and a final in Chennai. I don't think it's a brave idea. I don't think it's a good idea to write them off in any tournament, in any IPL.
See, I committed the same mistake last time around and I've learned my lessons. I'm not going to write them off at all for a variety of reasons. Yes, they do have challenges.
You're not alone, Aakash. Quite a few of us did.
So Gaurav has obviously pointed out a few things. I'll add a few more things that Shane Watson hasn't played a lot of competitive cricket between the 2 IPLs. He's no longer playing the international cricket, and same is the case with Suresh Raina now. And when you talk about players who are not, who are further going away from international circuit, from competitive cricket, you know for sure that you start fading as the time progresses. So there is the possibility that we may see a slightly different Watson this time. And Raina may not be the Mr. IPL that we have seen over the years. In fact, he was slightly lackluster last year as well. But if he fades further, then questions will be raised and there will be issues. But then one important fact also is that there is Dhoni. He understands the squad. He has a lot of quantity, may not have the same quality, but also he's not missing out on a lot of players in any part of the IPL. So his squad is going to be tight knit throughout. So once these things are put into account or taken into account, added to that the home advantage that they actually enjoy, not just the pitch but also the crowd, the fan support. Is unparalleled. So I am expecting them to actually make it to the playoffs somehow.
One of the favorites from a lot of people, I've watched quite a few IPL previews in the last few days, is the fact that there's been talk about Mumbai Indians being like firm favorites to make the playoffs and maybe going even beyond, because there is, of course, the numerological angle that they won IPLs 13, 15 and 17 and now it's 19. Gaurav, just a numerological quirk, or is there more to Mumbai Indians' chances? They seem to be quite a well-balanced squad.
They always have been a good balanced squad. Last year they missed a couple of bowlers and Bumrah didn't have. They lost a lot of close games. they are a very good team. They're very well run franchise. They believe in winning, and that's there in their mantra. So I don't expect them to do badly this time. They've had too many IPLs where they've started badly. I They would want it to change this time at least. They would want to start with a couple of wins, and again, they want to make Wankhede their fortress. That's not been the case last few seasons. They've actually struggled. So there are certain things they need to iron out, but you actually look at their squad. Their top 7 is solid. If at all there's some weakness, again, I don't know about the spinner. I don't think Markande, even towards the second half of last season, he kind of faded away. The mystery factor is gone, but they always unearth some new mystery person. So they do have a few players in their nets who they've seen, and you might find another star. So if the bowling can be even half as good as what it was last year, I think they'll surely make the playoffs. And once they make the playoffs, I don't think any team can really stop them.
That, yeah. For someone who's made probably a world record 4 T20 international hundreds batting at the top of the order, Aakash, why do you think it's taken so long for Rohit Sharma to nail down his position at the top of the order? Do you think that's going to make a big difference? Because a lot of times last season, he came in quite late. He came in sometimes after the first 10 overs. That sort of felt like a problem for some of us watching, to have such a great hitter holding him back till so late in the innings.
Okay, so I'll actually define it as paralysis by analysis. And that's exactly what we saw with South Africa for a very long time as well, where some data crunchers actually said that AB de Villiers is at his best after the 11th over of a T20 game. And he actually followed it to the T. I remember that 2016 World T20 in Bangladesh, where he wouldn't bat in the first 10 overs. He would wait for wickets to fall and bat only in the second half of a T20 game. That's absurd, that's bizarre, and that's exactly what MI were guilty of for the last couple of seasons. If you have a player like Rohit Sharma, you put him at the top. See, no player, that's the beauty of the beast, that no player is going to succeed for more than, say, 7 games out of 14.
Yeah.
And I'm actually stretching it. If you get 5 or 6, you should be actually over the moon that the guys had a great IPL.
That's actually a phenomenal hit rate, 7 on 14 or 7 on 15. That's brilliant.
So I'm saying, okay, 5 on 14 also. If those 5 are played by Rohit Sharma at the top, those are 10 points.
Yeah.
So why would you not? That it's just common sense that you want to, or rather you should put your best batsman, provided he's an opener, he's a top order batsman, right at the top where he belongs. Because Rohit is exceptional in the power play overs, but where he actually comes to the fore and is almost unstoppable is the fact that he bats deep into a T20 innings, and he's one of the few guys who will actually score a century in a T20 game. So once that's the case, you've got to put him at the top. They've finally decided to do the right thing. And I think along with Chris Gayle and KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock and Rohit Sharma, these 2 opening pairs are going to be the talk of the town for the 7 weeks of the IPL.
Just going down the order, do you think their hands have sort of been forced because they have someone like Yuvraj Singh who will feature quite a bit, and he's not been in the best of form for quite a while. He's not had a great few IPLs in the past. Do you think this is sort of a hand that's been forced? They've got Evan Lewis, of course, who's also in the squad. Do you think this move to send Rohit Sharma is to lend a bit of solidity to that batting order?
I think Rohit also mentioned the fact that he'll be opening in the World Cup and he would want to maintain the same kind of intensity, same style of gameplay. So I guess that's another reason which has made him open the innings. But like Aakash said, I think that's best for him. And what does it do to Surya, some guy who actually did well last year? But would you drop him and play Yuvraj Singh, or do you drop Ishan Kishan and play Yuvraj Singh if you want to play Yuvraj, that is? So these kind of problems emerged because of Rohit opening, but Rohit and de Kock in the Wankhede wicket would be a very, very good opening pair, and de Kock's been doing very well. So yes, that all these look very positive for Mumbai, just that we have to see if their bowling can step up.
The name of the IPL marketing campaign is to do with having the game, and the name doesn't matter. The Delhi team, of course, have changed their name, and it's now the Delhi Capitals. They've got quite a few reinforcements. Shikhar Dhawan is now at the top of the order, is back at home in Delhi. Aakash, new name, new game?
Maybe more of the same. Because that's exactly what you get with the Delhi Capitals now, Delhi Daredevils once. So if you were to have a look at their squad, and if you were to actually just pin down their playing 11, the ideal playing 11, you'll find 4 Indians at the top, and all of them actually want to open. So you've got Prithvi, Shikhar, Iyer, and Pant.
Yeah.
All of them should be batting at least 14, 15, 18 overs of a T20 game. If you give them lesser overs, fewer overs, you will cut them to size. And that's exactly how they're going to be. The top four, some of them, say, for example, a Rishabh Pant and a Prithvi Shaw, they do have the explosive abilities. But I don't know how many of them actually going to get. Prithvi, of course, will open, but Rishabh Pant, if he's batting at 4 because Shreyas Iyer is the captain, he will bat at 3. If that happens, then Rishabh Pant at 4, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot because the century that he scored, the runs that he scored in the IPL, it's when he's been allowed to bat 15, 17, 18 overs.
It'll be a similar mistake to playing Rohit Sharma later, right? It's something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So why would you want to do that? But if you go beyond that, then you're looking at a Colin Ingram and Chris Morris, maybe a Hanuma Vihari and an Akshar Patel. So it's just about an okay finishing act as well, provided you're being given so many overs. So I'm still skeptical about Delhi's chances. They're not that bad. Let's be fair. I'm expecting them to do better than what they've done in the past. But it will still be a task for them to make it to the Final Four is what I feel, my initial thoughts.
I've also actually got them as one of the dark horses for this tournament because it feels like, apart from all the guys Aakash mentioned, there's a Colin Munro at the top of the order. Colin Munro has been one of the best T20 openers for a while. Of course, he didn't fire too much last time, but the reinforcements, Colin Ingram, the Sherfain from the CPL, little bit unknown in the IPL, but it somehow feels like they've got a more balanced unit this time than last time.
Definitely, and I kind of actually think I have them in my Final Four purely because of 2 reasons. One, they have a change in ownership, someone who knows how to run sports teams. There's a change in culture. I see some good decisions taken at the auction. So, yes, a lot of people are going by history and I could be absolutely wrong. But I just feel that they would make the playoffs this time. All of them are highly motivated to do well. And this is their second season, third season with this a group of players. A few players have been together. So, like Aakash said, they do have some challenges. Ingram also is a number 3 batsman. He's a very good number 3 batsman across leagues. Again, they haven't shown their mettle in India. Will he be able to perform? He's actually a good player of spin. He has a great record, but how will he fit in this team? Where will he play? I don't know. We have to wait and watch. If we play Ingram at 3, a lot of other batting positions change. So these are some challenges. Their bowling, last year they played Sandeep very late. So maybe this year I see Sandeep starting. So Sandeep's
also more proven in T20 leagues now.
And he's been doing well. He's going to hold that bowling together. Their pace bowling doesn't you don't need to really worry about anybody there. So these are all small problems which they need to solve. But I think this year they will come good. That's my gut feel.
See, even with the faster bowlers, Gaurav, if you were to play Sandeep, then you'd have to play an Indian fast bowler as well. So it could be a Harshal Patel or an Avesh Khan or an Ishan Sharma. Those are 4 weak overs. Chris Morris's bowling becomes fairly critical to their fortunes because otherwise you can always go with a Rabada and a Trent Bolt. So your top and tail are taken care of. But if you play Sandeep Lamichhane, I don't think that you can actually play the 2 overseas faster bowlers. You'll have to go with an Indian recruit, and they really don't have a quality Indian fast bowler in their reserves.
But they didn't, I think that's the reason I thought they picked a very top-heavy Indian contingent so that they could play Sandeep and an overseas quick. But yeah, I do agree with you in a sense that they have to get their combination right and they have to get it very early on because Delhi have a tendency, once you start losing early on, it's very hard. Barring Mumbai, not many teams actually come back. So Delhi have to start off well, and if they start off well, trust me, this IPL, most IPLs are momentum based. So you start winning, you generally tend to win, and you lose the odd one, you then tend to win and qualify early.
Delhi usually go the other way as well. They've lost it a little too early sometimes.
Yeah, so that's something which they need to take care. And Aakash, I just wanted to ask you a question. So with respect to Delhi, their pitches, and do you think they would do something to give them some kind of home advantage? I've never seen Delhi actually have any kind of home advantage.
Will we see Amit Mishra and Sandeep bowling together?
Do you think they'll tinker a little bit with their pitches to just make sure it's because based on what India-Australia, the match in Delhi, I just thought they were doing something like that.
But do they even know what they want? That's one question that they need to first address. Do they prepare a pitch that is that is suited for their batting.
Yeah.
Batting is all Indian top-heavy batting lineup. So what is the kind of pitch that that will suit the Indian batsman? Is that how they're going to think? Or they'll think about, okay, we've got 2 wrist spinners and Rahul Tewatia maybe, so we can actually have 3 wrist spinners. A small ground, all right, but then let's play on pitches that are 140 plus pitches and not looking at 190 kind of pitch. So that's the question that they'll have to address first. I don't know whether they have the answer for that at this point in time or not. But other than that, the problem with the Firozshah Kotla, my experience of Firozshah Kotla, you may ask for something and you may get exactly the opposite. So I in my preview, I actually call it as a threat. Firozshah Kotla pitch is a threat because you don't know what you're getting. So you may actually prepare a greenish looking pitch hoping that your faster bowlers are going to have a great day, and then the ball may not just bounce at all. It may just be hitting your shins all the time. So there goes your plan. So that is the problem with the Firozshah Kotla. They don't know what to prepare and how.
But Aakash, if you're so sure of that, then I'll ask for exactly the opposite.
And
that's an idea.
And be very sure that that's what's going to happen.
Exactly. They may not get it. They should not get it right.
Yeah, and talking of spin and wrist spinners, a side whose bowling has kind of taken them to very deep into the tournament are Sunrisers Hyderabad. Question to both of you is, with the arrival of the likes of Johnny Bairstow, Martin Guptill, those are the positions which they had a problem with last time without David Warner. And Sunrisers Hyderabad, forced to reckon with again? Aakash?
Without doubt. I actually have it. I always have them in my top 4. They do have the team to finish on the podium once again. When you talk about Johnny Bairstow and Martin Guptill, I'm not
play one,
counting
maybe.
Martin Guptill too much because Martin Guptill, India performances on these pitches, he doesn't give me any confidence. I'll go with Johnny Bairstow to start with. In fact, I'll open with him.
And keep with him.
Be that explosive guy and also keep the stumps. So he gives me 2 things, a bit of an all-rounder. Something that is now a given that a keeper should be a phenomenal batsman. So then you don't have to play Shivats Goswami and Riddhiman Saha. My key player this year is going to be Vijay Shankar. And I think that he's going to have a phenomenal IPL if he gets to bat at the right number, which should be number 4. And if he gets enough overs, mark my words, and actually we can actually reconnect after the IPL, that he will be the talk of the town. He will be the guy who will be winning a lot of games for his franchise. So once again, this team can definitely go deep.
He can then add to the list of Delhi Daredevils alumni who are doing well elsewhere.
Correct.
That's quite a thing, isn't it? In the
I'm
IPL.
sure Aakash didn't tell it with respect to that trend in mind. I'm 100% sure of that.
Then I would have also spoken about Abhishek Sharma and Shahbaz Nadeem because those 2 are also very good acquisitions.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the best acquisition of the IPL so far, where you gave away Shikhar Dhawan, but you got as many as 3 and 3 of this quality. What more do you want? There is a guy who can bat at 4. There is a bowler who can actually give you 4 overs on almost every single day. And then you've got a rookie young Indian batsman who's shown a lot of promise. So this is the bargain of the century for the Sunrisers Hyderabad.
But will they be able to play everybody?
No, you can play at least 1 or 2. He's just saying that they have options. It's a fair point.
It is a fair point.
They had issues, Gaurav. So what happened, I think, is they had issues with their Indian spin recruits. So there was a Rashid Khan who was obviously a certainty. But whenever they wanted to play another spinner, they had to go to a Mohammad Nabi or a Bipul Sharma. They're not really the kind of spinners as so Mohammad Nabi, of course, is. But then he's eating into your overseas allotment or maybe a Shakib Al Hasan. But now you can easily play Shahbaz Nadeem whenever you want to play 2 spinners without really tinkering with your overseas quota. So I think that's a huge plus.
Bairstow, Williamson, Warner is quite a strong top order. It's probably among the strongest top orders around.
But again, my theory says that Williamson will not have the same season. Warner is coming back after a very, very long gap. But Warner is a class act and he knows that he needs to do well. The hunger for Warner is the highest among all the players playing this IPL. So I expect Warner to do well. Bairstow will definitely win you a couple of games with the start. So yes, their top 3 is excellent. And now with the addition of Vijay Shankar and Yusuf Pathan, it's a good batting.
Manish Pandey.
Yeah, Manish Pandey. Yeah, he's had a
forgotten
he's
by
under
franchise,
a lot,
forgotten by
yeah, he's
country.
under a lot of pressure. Thanks to Aakash for bringing him up. I actually thought about him before a couple of days back. He's under a lot of pressure to perform. He actually didn't get enough chances for India. He was suddenly just removed from the radar. Raidu had a great IPL. He just came in. So Manish needs to change his game a little bit. From whatever I've seen, he just needs to up his power game a little bit. He's sometimes too slow and he builds his innings too slowly. If he can actually have a good season this year, like he could kind of throw the number 4 position open again. But let's see how SRH does this year.
Yeah, he's of course coming off quite a hot streak of wins for Karnataka, who just lifted the domestic T20 title in India. He of course didn't have a great season personally. He had some performances, but yeah, Manish Pandey, to have your middle order and to have him come after these three is quite a great thing. Akash, just rounding up the teams, we've not gone close to just one team so far. Before we get to questions, there are quite a few questions from listeners for the Ask Aakash segment after this. That is Kings 11 Punjab, Ravi Chandran Ashwin's Kings 11 Punjab with the new backroom staff headed by Mike Hesson and some new acquisitions. Same old, or do you see them giving a tougher fight than they did last year?
See, they didn't have a really poor IPL last year either, let's be fair. They were in with a real shout before they completely slipped and they just fell off the radar in no time. So once again, I'm expecting Rahul and Gale to have a very decent IPL. Their problem is still their engine room of their batting order, which will be comprising of most of the Indian guys. You'll have a Mayank Agarwal or a Karun Nair or a Mandeep Singh. So your 3, 4, 5 will be your issues that need addressing. At 6, they have options. At 6, they have a Nicholas Pooran. They've got Moses Enriquez. They've got Sam Curran. So they're there. They can actually have a few options. At number 7, once again, they have a Sarfaraz and also Prabh Simran, who's been talked about quite a lot. But I'm really wary of any uncapped Indian player batting at number, or rather batting anywhere except the top 3. Because history of the IPL last 11 seasons tell us that there is no chance that a young Indian guy is going to take the world by storm when he's batting at number 5, 6, 7. You don't get enough opportunities. The bowling will still stand up once again. They have a fairly decent bowling lineup. So if they end up playing 5 bowlers, they should actually. They may not be playing all 180, 190 kind of game, but they definitely will be in a position to win a lot of 150, 160 kind of games, because Ashwin, Mujib, CV Varun, so they've got 3 mystery spinners, so to speak, 2 mystery spinners and a Ravichandran Ashwin. Then they've got the option of a tie or a Shami, and they've got Ankit Rajput as well. So they do have the bowling to really defend totals. If their team can manage to put, say, 150, 160 regularly, I see them winning a lot of games.
I see them playing Sam Curran, at least to start off, because he was one of their costliest acquisitions in the auction.
Sorry, just ask this question again.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Akash, I was asking you, do you see them playing? Do you see them playing Sam Curran to start off?
It will be a toss-up. Sam Curran, where do they want to bat him? I'll be very tempted to play him. Let's be fair. A left-handed, like a slogger, left-arm seam-up option. His bowling is not going to be that much of a concern, or won't really have that kind of an impact. He's a poor man's David Willey. So David Willey in India, you know what he has done. So don't expect his bowling to actually create miracles, but he'll give you a couple of overs. That novelty factor is there. He can tonk the ball. So give him a go right at the beginning and see what happens. Otherwise, Nicholas Pooran, I think, is a fairly strong option at that number. And if you're looking at some overs, then Moses Enriquez is not a bad option either. So he's also grown a little in stature over the last few years as a T20 player. So they do have options, which they did not have in the past, and we've not even touched upon David Miller. I'm not playing him in my team.
A lot of things about Punjab, I tend to agree with what Aakash says. The fact that, again, Christopher Henry Gale, will you get biased with his performance against England? I don't know. But
or his performance last year.
But that was again just two matches, three matches. Yeah. Then he kind of, you had to play him all the games and he never performed. So these are risks which you take in the IPL. And with Mujib, Puran and Gale, I think if they surely start,
And
you have
Ty,
one position to go, which is either Ty, Karan or Miller. So even I don't have Miller in my team. Maybe I may not start with Gale. I might open with one of the Mandeep Singh is a good opener. Mandeep and Rahul, and actually play Karan, Ty, Mujib and Puran. I feel that gives you a good balance and good variety. The fact that by playing Ashwin, Varun and Mujib and a bowler, you tend to have a very long tail. This is almost like if you're 5 down, 6 down, the game is over. So which means there's high pressure on the top order. And Mohali is a wicket which is very high scoring. You've seen a lot of dew. We saw that in the night game. So the pitch is not going to change. I don't think the Mohali pitch ever has been very slow. So
and it's
their
a big
batting
ground.
is under a lot of pressure. If they, like Aakash said, their bowling would do really well, and I think they would defend scores. But whether their batting would come up, I don't know. So I see them chasing most of the time.
Okay, last team which I've completely missed out on and I've just been
KKR.
let know about it is KKR. Akash, straightforward question. Are they in your top 4 and who else is in your top 4?
So KKR is also, they're not in my top 4. They were not in my top 4 last year as well. And then the simple reason is that, but they did make it. In fact, they were very close to actually reaching right
final.
till the end. Barring that fantastic game by Rashid Khan. It was just a Rashid Khan game versus KKR at the Eden Gardens. But when you look at them, they have once again gone with the same strategy. They've put all their eggs in one basket. 4 outstanding overseas cricketers. They're match winners, so you go after them and you expect them to win games. The Indian recruits, so a lot of spin, of course. Fast bowling, once again a concern. It was a concern last year. It's a slightly bigger concern this year because there's no Mavi also. Nagarkoti is not fit. Prasidh Krishna now obviously almost like walks into the playing 11, and how often would you see someone, an uncapped fast
Indian,
bowler of his quality or his experience walking into an IPL side right away and likely to play a lot of games. So they do have issues. And I have concerns when I look at Robin Uthappa, who's once again every year that passes by without you playing at the highest level, it makes it tougher for you to replicate performances that you've done in the past.
And he's coming off a surgery as well, if I'm not wrong. He's coming off rehab.
So he's not the same Robin Uthappa who was setting the world on fire. Then there is a Shubman Gill, unknown commodity last year, very talented, but then this year might just be a slightly different kettle of fish. People now know him. If you bowl fuller, there may just be a concern. And he also might just be thinking about an India cap, an India return. So that's an added pressure that wasn't there last year. Nitish Rana is punched above his weight in the past. But can he continue to do the same for years to follow? It's another question that they'll have to address. Dinesh Karthik, where does he bat? So that's big concern because he plays as a finisher, but should he be actually playing as a finisher? If you are one of the top batsmen, you're best batsman in the side, you should not be batting at 5 and 6. You should be batting at 3 or 4. Latest by 4, not lower than that. But the moment he puts himself at 4, then Shubman Gill and Nitish Rana and Rinku Singh or whoever, actually then they're slotted at 5, 6, 7. Then Nandre Russell somewhere in between to just salvage the story. See, it worked out last time. It may still work out again, but I have my reservations when we talk about the Kolkata Knight Riders.
And Aakash, do you think that Dinesh Karthik will be tempted to bat at 4 because of the World Cup slot?
Without doubt. So that always is going to play on your mind because he also knows that I am a fringe player. I am trying to break into the side and there is a possible opportunity at number 4, backup keeper. A lot of people are already talking about Dinesh Karthik being better than Rishabh Pant, and that happens. Whoever doesn't play becomes a better player in India. So he did not play the ODI games and therefore now he's, for some, is actually one of the front runners for making it to the World Cup squad. So he'll be very tempted. And he's the captain. He takes the call. He may want to actually bat at 4. But then if he bats at 4, who is the finisher? Where does Shubman Gill bat? And where does Nitish Rana bat? Are they your finishers? If they are, good luck.
No, I just want to clear something out. It's a question from a listener as well about whether Rahane has got a shot at the number 4 slot for the World Cup. The question I had in mind was, this is a completely different format still, and there's been enough talk that performance in the IPL might not count for it, but how does it happen in reality? Dinesh Karthik performing in the IPL, just because Pant doesn't perform, do you see him getting into the World Cup 15?
See, that is going to happen. Tell me something. If, say, KL Rahul ends up scoring only blobs and single-digit scores for the entire IPL, he
Recency
may
bias is
be a.
going to get him out of
So
the.
recency bias is a huge thing, and you can't discount for it. The fact is, say Rohit Sharma can actually fail, and there is no issue. Same is for Shikhar Dhawan, Virat
Top
Kohli,
three.
Kedar
Yeah.
Jadhav, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. People who are already there are going to be there irrespective. But when you talk about the fringe players, this is going to be a huge IPL for these guys, no matter what. Whatever has been said and written and told to us, I see it as counting for precious little. I think if Vijay Shankar has a great IPL, he is definitely going. If Rishabh Pant has a really bad IPL, he's not going. And same is the case with a KL Rahul or a Dinesh Karthik. So if you want to be on that flight and if you're not in the first 12, 13, 14, 15, well, boss, it's definitely, I think it's imperative for you to actually have a decent IPL. I'm not saying a stellar IPL, but a decent IPL is the minimum requisite if you want to be on that flight.
Don't fail badly is the message.
Exactly. Don't set the world on fire, but please don't fail too poorly, because if that happens, then you'll miss the bus. The other guy will just board it.
At the risk of sounding slightly silly, but I think Rishabh Pant, for example, all he needs to do is score that really exceptional 80, you know. But Dinesh Karthik can never score that exceptional 80.
Because he comes low down.
And no, even if he bats, he doesn't have that X factor what Rishabh Pant can do. So actually a guy like Dinesh Karthik needs to actually score some multiple of 40s to actually make up for that 180. So chances of Rishabh Pant actually making that bus is more higher than a guy like Dinesh Karthik, because he would never play that kind of an inning. So these are things which when you watch Rishabh Pant, you want to pick him every single time. So that's why I still feel like guys like Pant have a edge. But anyway, with the World Cup in mind, these things will affect the team dynamics also a lot.
Okay, Aakash has got Delhi Capitals and the Knight Riders out of the top 4. You've got
And Rajasthan Royals.
Rajasthan Royals out of the top 4. You've got Chennai Super Kings out of the top 4. Now let's hear your actual top 4. Akash, there's only 5 teams to pick from for you. We've eliminated 3.
So my thing was that I was very confident about, and still I'm very confident about Mumbai Indians and Sunrisers Hyderabad. These are my top 2 sides. For 3 and 4, I was split. So I was thinking Chennai Super Kings, RCB, KKR and Kings 11 Punjab, 2 out of these 4. But I'm actually going with CSK and RCB.
RCB is an interesting one. I don't think you have them in your top 4. Yeah.
No, my top 4 would be Mumbai, Delhi, KKR and Sunrisers. I was stuck between Sunrisers and Chennai. I was assuming the 4 metros would qualify this time. But slowly, the more I see Sunrisers, I find it hard for them not to make it. It's going to be close between Sunrisers and CSK. I really don't know whom to put my bets on.
Okay, I've got.
Well, Sunrisers didn't defeat CSK even once, so maybe.
Even on
4
this,
occasions.
even on
Four
this, they don't
occasions.
get through. Yeah, 4-0 to the Chennai Super Kings. I've actually got the same one as Gaurav, except for the Chennai Super Kings walking in place of KKR. So there I'm in agreement with Aakash on.
So you've got a mix of me and
Aakash, but
Smart
I don't see KKR.
RCB.
Yeah, I don't see RCB getting in, and I see KKR missing out just by a margin which they got through last year. Aakash, it's time to head into the listener questions. We had asked for questions from our social media fans, and they've sent in quite a few, some of which we've discussed already, but I'm going to throw to you the other stuff,
Sure.
and then we'll get Gaurav as well. One question which everyone's thinking about is the death bowling of CSK now that Ngidi is gone. They've got David Willey and Dwayne Bravo as their specialists. Do you see them do something slightly out of the box, not exactly mainstream, and throwing in their spinners at the death?
I don't see that happening, because no matter how good your spinners are, and unless you're playing on a dust bowl, even on a dust bowl, you may actually want to go to your faster bowlers. However inexperienced these guys are, so I don't see that left field kind of team strategy from Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Chennai Super Kings. They tend to stick to a plan which is kind of orthodox in more ways than one. So you may actually see a Shane Watson and a Dwayne Bravo and a Deepak Chahar and a Shardul Thakur all bowl 1-1-1, and nobody actually as an assigned death bowler. That's exactly, I think, how it's going to pan out. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is not going to assign one person as like he used to do in the past. Dwayne Bravo was that death bowler, but he obviously is no longer the same bowler, doesn't have the same potency. So you may see actually a lot of bowlers bowling 1-1-1-1-1 after the 16th over. But that's how I see it happening. I don't see 19th and 20th being bowled by spinners too often.
Gursimran Singh asks you, who according to you has got the best bowling lineup?
Sunrise Hyderabad, I think, have got a fantastic bowling lineup.
As usual.
Mumbai Indians are not too far behind. They do have one concern, which is their spinners. They don't have a quality spinner. They do have Mayank Markandeya and Rahul Chahar and maybe a couple of more Indian players, but they don't have a gun spinner in their ranks. Krunal Pandya, I still rate him. He's a fantastic T20 cricketer, but not alone as a bowler. So Sunrise Hyderabad will top that list.
Okay, final question, and I think this is probably the most interesting one. Gautam asks, if you were the Rajasthan Royals captain, would you bench Steve Smith from your starting 11?
Well, that's a very tempting option because if I were to choose between a Steve Smith and an Ashton Turner, I might actually turn towards Turner, keeping in mind that my other resources are better suited to bat higher up the order. You look at Ajinkya Rahane, alongside him is Butler, then Rahul Tripathi, Sanju Samson, that's my top four. Then you've got Ben Stokes, and if I've got Ashton Turner at 6, then I do have the depth followed by Krishnappa Gautam at 7. So I will be actually very tempted to not start with Steve Smith now that he's not even the captain. So might as well just leave him out and play Ashton Turner because form, of course, is a crucial thing.
Gaurav, Smith in, out?
Very tough call.
I'd probably start with him just for the dependability that he's offered in the past.
Maybe, but I wouldn't start with him because Rajasthan cannot afford to lose your first few games. And I would actually open with Tripathi and Butler, play Rahane at 3, play Samson at 4. This way, this get off to a good start. You don't even need a guy like Rahane to actually bat. You can get Stokes, then you have Turner, you have Gautam, and you have the hitter. So I wouldn't start with Smith. I would get the other 4 guys first up. But you know the names, so these are decisions which actually decide if a team actually makes it or not. They need to start very well. They have to win their first 4-5 games, and that's why I wouldn't start.
So Butler, Stokes, Archer, and who's the fourth?
Turner.
So Turner in place of Smith is basically the move. Just to wrap up this episode of Talking T20, Aakash has already said that this is going to be Vijay Shankar's IPL. I'll go to him next for this. But who do you think, who's your surprise package of the season? Who are you predicting to
I have a very left field pick, and I think if he gets a chance, I think he will be the guy. It's Hanuma Vihari. For some reason, I feel that he would want to show his limited over game. And I saw him playing a few strokes which were really good in the domestic tournaments and even in Australia.
But that middle order's, Delhi middle order's packed like a Mumbai local.
Exactly. So I find him hard to make that team. But if he does slightly at the top of the order, I think he will be a good someone who will surprise everybody. But if he doesn't get a chance, I'm again going for one more Delhi player in Colin Ingram.
Okay. I've got a very mainstream pick in Lasith Malinga to come good again. Aakash, I'm sure you don't agree with me on that.
No, that's absolutely possible. Say Malinga and Bumrah.
Yeah.
So previously, Bumrah was feeding off Malinga's success and his potency. It may just be the other way around this time around. So for this IPL, if you've got Bumrah, so you want to play him safe. So who do you go after? And that guy could be Lasith Malinga. And he has turned a corner somewhat. He's become slightly fitter. We've seen him at the international level. Previously, when we saw him fading away, he was off the international circuit completely. He had injuries and he was overweight. But he's addressed some of those issues. So I'm not surprised if he actually ends up having a decent IPL. May not play all the games, but whatever he plays, he may just have an impact.
I think they would use Malinga maybe instead of Bumrah because when Bumrah has to take his break, that's the time I think I would play Malinga because...
Aakash is not giving a break, boss. He's playing the whole IPL.
Nah,
Which Aakash are you
he's not
talking
getting
about?
a break.
No.
He's not getting a break. Gaurav, there's no chance. If they start slowly, then you bet your bottom dollar that there's no chance that Bumrah is... If they lose 3 out of the first 4-5,
then
and even with Bumrah,
Yeah.
then there is no chance. So team dynamics eventually, where you are as a team, will have the final say whether a guy gets a break or he continues to play in full vein.
True.
True. Gaurav is, of course, referring to Aakash Ambani, the Mumbai Indians
I
owner.
thought you referred to him, not me.
I was referring to Aakash Chopra, a guest on the show.
Somebody is talking about the proper Aakash.
Yeah, that's actually
Aakash that matters.
Yeah, the Aakash that matters according to Aakash Chopra, and that's all we have time for in this bumper IPL preview of Talking T20. As always, throughout the IPL, we'll have you covered with a bunch of episodes of Talking T20, which, if you've not subscribed to yet, we're available on all the regular podcasting platforms and, of course, iTunes. And that's all about it from the crew at ESPN Cricinfo. Thank you very much, Gaurav and Aakash, for joining us on this IPL preview.